Greetings. This is part 9 of my video series on model railroading. The subject is creating model railroad scenes and the story behind them. Assemblage of scenes needs a purpose, a reason that fits the time and place. Here are 10 examples. One time, when a large group came to my house, I had this crime scene taped on the living room floor as a warning to describe a model railroad. In the middle of the wall, there is a small flintlock pistol. This is a magic gun to reduce the person to 1/87th scale. So far, I've done this 5 times. This is the building where the body is prepared. Notice the black cat and the vulture bird on the roof. This is the cemetery where the body will be buried, in the grave site with no marker. Notice there's someone visiting one of their former daughters. Also, every day the pigeon man comes by to feed the pigeons. A crazy story. Moving on. This is scene 2, a crime scene investigation at the 149th Street Veterans Bridge. Hey, it's the Bronx and the Harlem River. Here we see a body floating face down in the Harlem River. Notice his lady friend is saluting him goodbye. The New York State Police has been notified and has come on the scene. Since this is New York City, we also have New York's finest has now arrived with their emergency vehicles. Also, the fire department is here in their emergency role. We see that this has attracted other people. and the local TV channel has come on the scene to see what the story is all about. Moving on, let's look at Scene 3, Patriots Plaza. We find several small scenes within a major scene. The memorial, a bit of history, a subway entrance area, and Farmers Market Day, which is everyday life. Here is the memorial. On top of the memorial are two figures. The large one is Mr. BRONX, who started this particular area. Next to him is Major Deacon. He was a World War I person who became political, and the highway going by is also named for him. The Interstate 87, the Major Deacon Expressway. The symbol you see on the memorial is also a World War I symbol. Here is the memorial looking down with a World War I cannon and a few visitors. This is part of the major scene, a subway entrance, someone doing street art, someone collecting for the holiday, and in the corner a hot dog vendor. This is Patriots Plaza, and we see today is a farmer's market day. And here is another view of the memorial, subway area, Patriots Plaza, and the farmers market. Moving on to Scene 4, a subway station. Number 2 and number 5 train platform of the Grand Concourse Station, the oldest in the Bronx. Check youtube.com, search Michael Collins Model Railroad Part 2, where you can see and hear the subway activity. And in this scene, we see another subway entrance on 149th Street. This is the platform, and the people are waiting for the arrival of the subway. There are two entrances, one on the left and one on the right. There are two vendors. One is a magazine newsstand called Chuck's World, and the other is a food vendor called Chuck's Wagon. And we see an artificial horse to get the advertising view. And here comes train number 5 on its way to South Ferry. You also see a closer view of Wayne's World newsstand. Here is the other vendor, Chuck's Wagon, with its artificial scenery, and the departure of another train, number 5, for Dyer Avenue. Inside the cars, I have placed different riders to make the scene more realistic. Here is a subway car, train number 2, where someone used some graffiti or street art. And that's the end of this scenery. Scene number 5, St. Michael's Irish Pub. The social life where some guys participate. And on Sundays, there are church services. And here is the pub getting a delivery of Steakmeyer beer. On the roof you can see a statue of St. Michael. Also next to that is a cross representing church services on Sunday. In back we see an outdoor scene with a table, guys drinking, and some entertainment. To the right you see a container that's used for the ladies. Right now it's closed for rehearsal. Inside the container, at this Private Eyes Gentlemen's Club, we see the ladies, actresses, preparing their dances. Besides Steakmeyer beer, they also get delivery of Manhattan beer, Budweiser, and a New York beer, Schaefer's. Scene 6. A skeleton body with a live human head. One day I saw this prototype truck that had a graphic of a skeleton body, and there was no head except the driver. I was able to take a picture. This vehicle belongs to a X-ray company. And here you see it parked in front of a Veterans Administration nursing home in Florida. So I decided to try and model this. Here is my version of the X-ray vehicle. I used a old-time truck, drew on the door with a Sharpie silver marker, and the head is the driver. And here's my delivery truck making a stop at the New York Harbor Railroad Lehigh Valley Supply Warehouse. And this is the picture in the Walters Train Catalog reference book showing the scene that they accepted. The next scene is regarding a blue tire, a huge equipment tire that you'll see in a creek, plus an abandoned old car and bathtub. I call it a pollution attraction. Here is the large equipment blue tire in Sawmill Creek. And here is the abandoned car and the bathtub. Notice the black swan is in the tub. And this is another view of the tire, the tub, and the abandoned car of the Sawmill Creek that will dump into the Harlem River. In this scene, we'll do some renovation that a low-cost contractor got the bid to repair a building. And there'll be a safety scene. So it better do the job before the inspectors arrive. Here is the scene where the handy guy, Joe, is putting a scaffold on the truck bed. And they're continuing building the scaffold so they can do some repairing of the cracked brick facing of the building. And here we see another view of this renovation site, which I'm sure is a safety violation. Notice the subway vent over on the right side, and it looks like Marilyn Monroe recommending to use the subway. Scene 9. It's nice to do some interiors where I'll show you the engine house, a transformer company, some of the railroad buildings. This adds a surprise or wow factor for visitors. It's not your ordinary Christmas village. The first interior will be the engine house. When I remove the shell of the engine house, you see an inspection pit and the various workbenches and workers. And we see a diesel approaching number 112 with a train man. And here is another view of the interior of the engine house, inspection pit, the various items that are inside. Next is a transformer company called megawatts. This is the outside of the building. I can remove the side of the building, which exposes 3 floors. On the first floor you see the office and part of the work area. Second floor is another section of the work areas, and finally the third floor. And this is what the second floor looks like on the left, and on the right is the third floor. We're now going to show you some railroad buildings. Here are 3 buildings. To the left is a control tower, in the middle is a superintendent's office, and on the right is a workshop. I can remove the building frame, and inside the workshop you see a workbench and a speeder and a worker, garbage can. This is the superintendent's office and 2 workers. Note the wind indicator is a train. This is the inside of the control tower, and the graphic is the layout of the railroad tracks. Here are the three buildings, and the frames are back on site. This picture was also published in Walter's train catalog in 2020. The flat car you see to the left is packaged lumber, and on close inspection it says Collins Pine. In the last scene, we'll show you servicing railroad equipment, also tugboat refueling sites, and various details. Here is a large fuel tank. The black one is getting refueled from an interstate trailer truck. Over to the right is a smaller silver fuel tank that'll be used for the tugboat system. Here is the tugboat pulling up where it will be refueled using that orange hose and control handle, which happens to be made out of a staple for the refueling nozzle. Here is a diesel getting refueled, and again the orange hose will be the refueling capability. In addition to fuel, here we see some other equipment. To the left, the small cabinet has a water hose. Next to that, we see some green oil tanks, and a black tank is for sand. This is the parts supply warehouse. This is a summary of what we just showed you. I showed you 10 of my scenes. What was the message for each scene? What can you do in model railroading? And a few suggestions. It's a mixture of real possibilities and some interesting concepts. And that's my story for this part of creating scenes and giving you some insight and background, some general information about model railroading. Bye for now.